This is my Cultivating Relationships project. Let's begin. For my attend meeting, for my attend, I decided to attend a PLC meeting. As you can see, here's some of my documentation. Here's some questions I did pose during the meeting. And let's go over the value. The benefits of this meeting was it went over things such as testing protocols and shared student preparation for final exams. I also got to share my personal experience as a student as I graduated in 2021. I also mentioned what I knew about decolonization, as that was a subject area in the PLC meeting for us to figure out what they wanted to focus on when teaching decolonization from 1945 to 1991. I also did have some recommendations for students when we were going over testing protocols, like them having access to a study guide for mainstream during the exam for whatever they wrote, along with allowing students to be able to use this and also reviewing it with them so they have kind of idea of what was the correct answer and not just turning to chat GPT for answers. Also, while challenging AP and honor students not to have their study guide during the test so they can show how much progress they have made. For relationships, this PLC addressed relationships at the school by gathering all the PLC teachers for the social studies department together as they went over test ideas and what they want to implement throughout the school and what they are required to do. It addresses relationship in the community because overall it affects Trevor Brown because these teachers are responsible for teaching these students history, and they must come up with ideas to make sure these students understand what is expected of them and they're able to pass on to the next grade or next course with the skill sets that they need. This activity cultivated relationships in the classroom by coming up with strategies and roles teachers can facilitate in the classroom as they talk about what they want to focus on and address for future lessons, such as the decolonization lesson that was coming up. For personal perspective, this opened my personal perspective by how much assistance is overall provided to these students as they are given opportunities to travel during advisory, to make up missed work, Saturday school. They're even given a 30% if they do nothing all year, every day for the students to essentially help them pass. But also another thing was the overall participation and willingness of the students was quite low for mainstream in comparison to AP and honors. And this very much surprised me as many of these students do use AI, which we talked about in our PLC meeting, and how we can combat that because it is renders us unable to accurately know what the students know. And when they take these tests and they don't have access to AI, it is very much shown that their grades do not match with what they write. And oftentimes this AI information can be incorrect or just overall, it's not a reliable source. Also, another thing that challenged my perspective is the amount of assistance provided for ELL students, the English language learners, as they need extra assistance. And they break it down for students into chunks for them to comprehend and try to also make it in a way where it's not too simple for mainstream, but simple enough for the ELL students to understand. For change, yes, this enhanced my overall learning experience for myself and the students as this went over classroom concerns and how to tackle them with what we can implement during testing protocols and provide extra help for students to prepare them for these tests. And there's also going over the future lesson for decolonization to create things for students, like such as creating a pre-assessment for them to go over and breaking off that and maybe using a concept map to line out the main ideas of decolonization from 1945 to 1991 in which you want to go over. So let's get into the next part. For Connect. For Connect, I met with these mentors, these lovely ones right here. I was with Mr. Reimers for this semester. I had prior been with Sparks and Mr. Sanchez. I've met at the meeting and I've worked under him as well. Mr. Sanchez is actually writing me a letter of recommendation in which I'm going to be using for one of my portfolios, which I very much love. But for this lesson, I did create a teaching/connecting video in which I taught a lesson to the students and I interacted with them through discussion and just overall asking questions about a lesson relating to the Cold War and the space race, which is very nice. For value, having these connections with these teachers gives me access to more resources. Like in the lesson I used, Mr. Reimer provided me a bunch of resources I could use for my lesson, which I really much appreciated. He also provided things such as recommendations, advice, and overall, this is great. And when you do these types of meetings as well, you can have opportunities for assessments where you can get multiple different ideas and such as formative or summative. It also gives you, when you're teaching lessons like this, like in the video I have, it gives you more practice and you feel more comfortable interacting with students and overall builds your confidence. Some recommendations I had for to grow your resources and for teaching like videos or interacting with students is one, reach out to teachers. You'll have way more opportunities and recommendations from doing that. Attend events with them, students and teachers, get to know them, build relationships. You can ask about the teacher's own personal teaching experience to kind of gauge what to expect. You can also shadow them during the lesson. And also try to ask questions to students when you're teaching them so you can gauge their understanding and kind of pinpoint, oh, what do I need to talk about more to improve their understanding? You can also try to interact outside of academics with both teachers and students to build those relationships and higher value. For relationships, you can grow your connections by interacting with more teachers and students. Here, I also learned about the roles at Trevor Brown and how coworkers interact with each other and interact with their students. So you can understand, I might like doing that, or you might be like, I don't want to do that. It helps figure out how to set a vibe for the classroom, especially in my teaching video. I kind of was figuring out what was a balance between what I could talk about and what would be better, or how I could word things so they would understand. As also, teachers do teamwork and collaboration as they work together on common formative and summative assessments, which is very important, as this also provides you many opportunities and things you can teach about. You also compare results from these lessons that you did, like my students didn't get this very well, or they really took to this. It can overall help you adjust things and figure it out. You can also build mutual understandings with students and understand their home life and how this may impact them in school is something very important with having a relationship with your students. The big question is, do you know your students? That is something you should try to understand at the beginning of the year through icebreakers or just conversating out about stuff outside of academics. Just overall try to build a relationship with your students and also your coworkers by through interactions. For personal experience, this just challenged my personal experience with how much assistance these students get and how much the teachers want to improve the students' grades, how much thought is put into these meetings. It also shows how they work together to encourage students and strategize how they can accomplish this, addressing any concerns in the classroom with the students' skill sets or behavioral issues. As something seen in my video, these kids often need like a little push to jump into discussions. I could post a question on the board, but they need me to verbalize it to them. And that is something very important to understand is these kids do need guidance, and we as educators will talk about ways and how we can get that guidance for them and then implement them in the classroom to see how they work. For change, yes, these students will be enhanced by myself doing this lesson as it gives them multiple different connections to the lesson, but also I have also provided multiple connections with these outside resources. They got to see a different lesson than what they're used to, so and they seemed to took to it really well, which I was very happy about in the video. But also having these educators to help guide me can help give me advice or any concerns address, also give me future job opportunities as mentioned. Like Mr. Sanchez, he's writing me a letter of recommendation, which I very much appreciate. It's also prepared me for dealing with first year teaching as it can be very challenging to navigate, and they can give me advice or things I might want to avoid doing. But the students will be enhanced as they got to one, interact with me as a new teacher to them, and two, a different style. I was able to put more students for questioning and get more responses, and it was really nice to be able to see that and it prepared me more for my first year of teaching as I felt more comfortable in the classroom lecturing and walking around talking with students, asking them questions. It was very nice. But let's get into create. Now for create, this is something I created for students. It is a honors program template. Now, these students in the class that I taught in the video, these are AP students, so they're maybe looking to graduate early, be part of the honors program at colleges. I went to Maricopa Community College and I was part of the honors program, and I listed the requirements, overall purpose, and a list of different colleges that I know give this program. And it's very nice for them to be able to have this as I gave it to my mentor teacher to share it with students that might be interested. It is a nice little scholarship to help them. And hey, what kids don't like a little scholarship money? But going into the value, the benefits is this will be better for with parents, I know, because having the scholarship and overall this will help with the needs in the students in the classroom to help prepare them for college and that they're interested in. This can make a connection as this is a conversation starter for students. Also, I can build a relationship with the students as they ask me questions about this program. This can be effective for communication plan with parents and students as they can link to it, as parents may have questions about the program to itself and they can reach out to me or my mentor to ask more questions. This event also enables students to get involved and attend events as it is requirement in the program. And I can hand this out to more teachers I've connected with this semester to get more students part of this program and overall grow my sources and see if I can assist in any other way. For relationships, this supports relationships by teaching me how to build relationships with my future coworkers or mentors, as creating stuff like this to benefit their students is something that I can do to overall help. And it taught me, but this overall experience has taught me how important things such as PLC meetings are for teachers as you come together and share ideas and create things to overall benefit not only your classroom, but all the classrooms around campus. But this pamphlet also emphasizes college and what it can come with, like expectations and benefits. And this is overall to build a sense of comfort for students to feel comfortable with you and also with turning in their assignments, being better, having a better relationship by probing with questions as well. They may have questions about what's going on. And overall, yeah. From my personal perspective, it didn't really change my personal perspective, but it did open new opportunities I can try as a teacher. Like starting, like for example, when interacting with parents, starting off with a compliment before going into any concerns. Another way to build trust with your coworkers is really get involved and attend meetings and events, actually try to get to know them. Definitely show students that if they have an interest in college, the teachers are here ready and to prepare them for that and mentor and guide them, as is very important. For change, yes, this learning experience will be enhanced for students as well as actively asking questions to their teachers and my mentor. And it goes over my own teaching. It helps build trust with students by understanding their interests, enable students to make a list of questions to ask, collaborating with other teachers is another main one. But overall, build my communications and both with guardians, parents, students that have a college interest and build a better relationship by creating change overall in the community by trying to get more students to join this program. But thank you for listening. Here's a list of my references and thank you.